Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about having a Libra Sun and a Scorpio Ascendant in a natal chart. Now, these are adjacent signs which are neutral as far as how they may blend together. And if you look at this, they're very different, though. You have Libra Sun, who can be very relationship oriented. Other people can figure prominently in their life scheme, and you have Scorpio rising, which is more taciturn, secretive, and reserved, and it's an introverted or feminine sign, where the Libra Sun is masculine. Now, you have this kind of clash, introversion versus extroversion. With this combination, this could be somebody that could still be very relationship and partnership oriented, but maybe a little bit more cautious about going regarding their relationships, and a little bit more skeptical, and really might be a little bit more selective in terms of who they really entrust, as far as having that person in that whether it's a relationship or partnership situation. It may take some time for these people to have others' credibility be established with them, and that's where I think where you see how this combination can play out. And you have someone that is going to be a little bit more, I guess you could say, that fixed in purpose, because Scorpio rising is fixed. Scorpio is a fixed sign. You will have a little bit more of that tenacity, a little bit more persistence, and the person might be a little bit more steadfast in their viewpoints and unwavering, and more resolute than the typical Libra. Libra Sun can be somewhat adaptable and more uncompromising. Scorpio rising will modify this perhaps strongly, and the person will not maybe be as quite willing to agree or to compromise as the typical Sun in Libra would go. Now, in a natal chart, the basic Sun, the Sun sign represents our basic wants, while the rising sign or ascendant can represent the manner or method in which one attains these basic wants. So, the Sun in Libra, the basic wants can be connected with partnerships, relationships, things connected with justice, equilibrium, having things fair and equitable, peace and harmony. And the thing is, when you have a Scorpio rising, this person may attain some of these things anyway, perhaps through persistence, through tenacity, through resourcefulness, and in relationships and partnerships, by seeing possible duplicity, by really getting to the bottom of the core of the person's character, seeing through subterfuges. That is one way to look at it. It could, you look at the Libra rising, Libra Sun is about justice as well, and Scorpio rising, if they feel Scorpio rising, as far as justice goes, they could really go out in a very strong way to attain justice. If it's a legal system, or they're in court, they could obviously be very formidable, and will really come out in a very strong and determined manner, in as far as a courtroom situation may go. And it could be also possible that the Libra Sun may attain their basic wants, perhaps as far as especially like inner peace, and having that peace inside them, perhaps through a Scorpio-like profession, such as the astrology, supernatural, the occult, psychology, psychiatry, something perhaps connected with forensics. Could be like detective or law enforcement work, something where they're getting to the bottom of things, and or perhaps through some kind of extensive research, by maybe getting doing this kind of work, such as, for example, detective work. They could kind of satisfy that Libra need for things to have things legal, and to real, not necessarily legal, but what I'm saying is, as far as justice goes, and in ways of getting the bad guys off the street, so to speak. So that's one way to look at it. Anyway, It's important to look at the aspect that is made between the Libra Sun and the Scorpio Ascendant in a natal chart, as this could show if these energies, if there is an aspect, that is, if these, how these energies may integrate, whether good or bad, or not, or good or not as good. Now, if you have a conjunction, let's say that the Libra Sun is 29 degrees and a Scorpio Ascendant is 1 degree, that would be a conjunction aspect, and this would be very intensifying, and these energies may very well merge very strongly together. And this is something where you might see the two qualities, the sun, the inner self and the outer demeanor, might come out very strongly together. Now, let's say if you have you can have an out of sign sextile aspect. Let's say that the Libra Sun is at 1 degree and the Scorpio Ascendant, say, is 28 degrees. That would form an out of sign sextile aspect, and that would be positive and auspicious, and you could have a good blending and integration of these two energies. They're still adjacent by sign, which is neutral, but you have a little better combination. You'd have this combination work a little bit better if you had the out of sign sextile aspect. Now, you could also have two minor aspects can occur with this combination. You could have a semi-square. For example, let's say the Libra Sun is 12 degrees and the Scorpio Ascendant is 27 degrees. That would form a semi-square aspect, which I would call slightly adverse or adversarial, because it's not a major aspect, but you could have a little clash between these two signs. And these signs, this person might feel, even if they're not cognizant of their astrological placements, they may feel a little exasperation, tension inside, due to the fact they might feel, because these energies may not be blending well, and also coupled with the fact they may feel misconstrued or misunderstood, because what they're showing is, even if they're not cognizant of their astrological placements, they may feel that what they're projecting in their outer demeanor is strongly different than what is going on inside. So anyway, so you might get those feelings of some kind of exasperation and tension due to that fact. Now, let's say you could have a semi-sextile aspect, which I call slightly positive. Let's say the Libra Sun is 21 degrees and the Scorpio Ascendant is 21 degrees. That would form a semi-sextile aspect, and that you could have a positive blending of these energies, but it's modified and not as strong as the sextile aspect. But you could have some positive integration with those two. Now, it's also important to look at the house placement of the Sun in Libra, because even though the Scorpio rising may camouflage or cloak or suppress strongly, or at least to some degree, this Libra Sun energy, the Libra Sun energy may still come out at least somewhat prominently in that particular house it resides in. Let's say the Sun in Libra is posited in the 12th house. Well, the 12th house is a cadent house, and also the 12th of all the houses, I think the energy can be more dissipated. So this person may still show this Libra energy, but maybe perhaps in more behind the scenes and more in seclusion and in solitude. But it will, I think, compared to the 11th or 10th house, for example, Libra Sun with Scorpio rising, the Libra Sun would come out, would be weakened in this 12th house. Now, let's say it's in the 11th house, the Libra Sun, the charming, the diplomatic energy, sociability may come out strongly, prominently with friends, and that ability to show that equitable and fair side. Let's say the Sun in Libra is posited in the 10th house. Well, the 10th house is an angular house, so the Libra Sun energy may figure more prominently in this particular house. And in angular houses, the Sun generally will come out stronger. So you might see this person put the Libra charm, the tactfulness, the diplomacy may come out in matters with their reputation, in their career. They might have that strong sense of balance and fairness in these areas as well. Now, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for having the Sun in Libra and a Scorpio Ascendant in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about having a Libra Sun and a Sagittarius Ascendant in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.